and like, you're too noisy. And like, I said, you don't have to be around me.
Friendship may actually go beyond just relating on a
superficial
basis.
There's the adage that says, show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are.
There are some of us who are not very good at regular visit, but because they are friends,
you have to.
In order to maintain that friendship.
The emotional state of the parents is usually directly proportional to the emotional state of the children.
Good evening, viewers, and welcome again to our favorite family show, The Living Room, right here at Equa Television International. Since last week or 2 weeks ago, we've been talking about courtship, relationships, courtship, moving to the next level. And last time we were here, we talked about what to do, how to comport ourselves during courtship, and a lot of issues were raised. We'll still revisit some of them and talk about how we should comport ourselves during courtship as Christians. My name is Amaka Ocheke, and in the studio with me is my favorite auntie. Again, as she said before we started, Professor Teresa Madu and Mrs. IB Namo, who was spewing fire the last time we were here about courtship. She wants us to live right. So, let's start again. What is courtship? When we say courtship, what do we mean? Ivy, let's start with you. Okay. Since you are the one on fire.
Wow. Like I said last week, well, I think it should be that, okay, you, a girl and a boy, or like they say, a lady and a man, have agreed to move to the next level, not just be friends, but they want to maybe begin to agree to work together to end up getting married. So they start courting each other and preparing to get married. In simple terms, that's what I would call courtship.
Okay. Auntie Tess, what say ye?
I think that courtship is an intentional period of knowing this person that God has laid on my mind that I'm going to marry at some time in the future. So you are very deliberate in how you go about knowing who this individual is. And courtship provides the opportunity to learn this in a very friendly atmosphere. That is how I would define courtship.
Okay.
Now, I think we shouldn't call it what modern people call it. I think I hear young people say, I'm dating this person. I don't know what that is.
I don't think dating and courtship is the same. I don't know.
We need to make a difference.
Yeah. Actually, the word dating, even though it has been misused, by many people, dating is just, you can date anybody. I'm going on a date. In fact, you can take your sister on a date, your brother on a date. That is just for you to hang out. That's what dating is. It's not, but I know that they have misused it. Dating is when you want to take a girl, go and eat, and then end up doing something stupid with the person. That's
when they say they are dating, that means two aside. You are in a relationship, two of you. But whether it's courtship, courtship is a different matter. So people, people are going out or they have a relationship, but not necessarily that they plan to marry.
Okay, that's what it is now.
Yes, that's what it is.
It is actually is that you are taking somebody out on a date.
Well, that is what it is now.
All right.
When they say they are dating, it means that they are in a relationship.
Whether it ends in marriage or not.
Either which way, it can fall either way. Yeah. But I like the fact that Auntie raised that there's a deliberateness to it.
Yeah.
So we want to again go through what courtship is not.
Okay.
Because I know based on our the last time we met, or 2 previous episodes, somebody sent in a message and we tried to answer her questions about a guy not saying anything. So what should she do? And I know after the program, people also raised issues about people hanging out together for years and nothing happening. And suddenly somebody finds out that the other person is getting married next week. Meanwhile, they are supposed to be in a relationship. So I want us to raise these issues to say this is not courtship. That you are living together with a person. I don't think that is courtship. Or you've been hanging out with this person, like somebody gave an example, cooking for him, washing for him, cleaning his house. All his family members know you, but there's no deliberate plan towards getting married. That's not courtship, I think. Or what
So
do you
I
say
have
to
a
that?
personal story. I knew a very fine gentleman who came from a nice Christian family, and he obviously admired this other Christian girl, and according to them, they were steady. In other words, it seemed like, I'm saying it seemed like, okay, I love you, I love you. And just pardon my daftness, I come from the business world, so I asked the question. I said, has there been an offer and acceptance? You can be sending love notes, but has this person made a proposal? And the proposal usually will carry implications. It's like, I like you, but I'd like to go into a period of courtship with you and I'd like to marry you. Can you pray about this? I don't know what the young people do, whether they are praying about those proposals or not, but you should be. Because when somebody comes and offers and makes an offer like that, it's time for me, even if I emotionally attracted to this person, I will step back and pray. And Lord, this person looks attracted to me, but is this your will for me? So we would imagine that before you would say yes, that you have prayed about it. Not only have you prayed about it, like we usually say, have you done due diligence? If you have the opportunity of having Christian parents, it's also good to mention and say, Mommy, I think I like this person, but can you pray along with me? And I would imagine that if they are mature Christian parents, they will pray along with you. And some parents will say, I've prayed, oh, I don't have good vibes about this person. They have no way of being authoritative enough to know things, but because parents love you and they are praying for you, God sometimes tells them that these are not signs of a person. But I would think that courtship starts with an offer and an acceptance.
So if there's no offer and acceptance, there's no courtship.
You're just fooling around.
Yeah. So
Just
you're
hanging
wasting your
around
time.
each other.
Because people have given an example. I think you told us after the last program
Yeah.
of somebody that had been in a relationship for how many years?
8 years.
What?
Yes.
8 years.
For
8
what?
There was no offer, there was no acceptance.
In
but
fact,
they were in a
this one,
relationship for 8
this
years.
one was, there was even an offer and an acceptance.
Oh.
But 8 years,
Yes,
for goodness sake,
that's
what
the
for?
point. I think that's in the area I would want to. How long should courtship really last? That's another thing we should talk about. You know, you're in a relationship. Yes, he has offered, you have accepted, and then you are now saying, okay, after 1 year, after 2 years, what are we doing? You say, no, just give me time. In fact, I used to, there was a young man that someone was talking to one time, and he said that he wants to build his personal house and have at least 2 cars before he gets married, because he doesn't want a situation where he will get married and then he wants to go out and his wife wants to go out, and then they are looking for how to you know,
Kind
so
of relationships, because they are purely materialistic.
exactly. So when you have accepted, you have been given an offer and you have accepted, I think, like Auntie said, you should start making deliberate plans It's not just okay, you have offered, I have accepted, then we just start seeing each other. We just start seeing each other.
Because she said there's a deliberateness. There should be a deliberateness.
So it is something that you start planning. You start making deliberate plan. Okay, from this month to this month, where would we be? Are we going to see our parents, or we are going to be going to the past? You know, things should start rolling in. It's not an endless journey. It should be a journey that is defined and that has a timeline. Okay,
so to know whether you're in courtship or not, there must be offer.
Yeah.
There must be acceptance. There must be purpose.
Exactly.
And timeline.
Yeah.
If you don't have these things, please, you're not in courtship. Go and reevaluate that relationship. You know, the last time or 2 episodes ago, we said you must define relationship. Yeah. What are you doing in that relationship? So if you don't have these elements inside what you are doing, you are not in courtship. Go back to the drawing board and assess what you are doing and give it a name. And if the name is not courtship, then this discussion we're having is not for you. Okay, now you've raised the issue of time frame. So courtship, how long should a courtship last? Because this 8 years you mentioned for the other person is ridiculous.
It doesn't make sense.
Or somebody waiting till somebody has built his own house, bought 2 cars.
Or just give me time. I'm trying to build my business. Just give me time. I'm trying to do this. And the years are going.
You are looking at what they say, but what should that period of courtship be?
Yeah.
You are developing friendship.
Yeah.
And knowing this person as you walk towards marriage. For me, even though we were in our early 20s, we were mature enough to know that we had a timeline. We had agreed, there was an offer, there was an acceptance, but we said, what timeline are we looking at? And we looked at 3 years because we had met in the university. The last part of the university year, you can't marry. NYSC, we didn't think we should marry. And we both believed that we should start a means of livelihood before we
get married.
Can you see these were the things we were considering? We're not even looking at the fact that my father has a car, my mother has this. It is us and this future that we're trusting God to bring about. So I think that we should have a time period that
so that timeline should depend on the couple involved. Is that what you're saying?
Prayerfully, and even involve the other stakeholders like your parents. Like we typically think that if one of our children is marrying, that they would have given us 1 year's notice. In that 1 year's notice, we ourselves are studying the other family, we're doing our due diligence, you understand? And then we don't think that marriage is something that should be rushed. It's something that you learn about one another, you build your dreams, your hopes, your aspirations, and then you intentionally go towards it. Since we knew we were going to have a 3-year courtship, the first year we said, okay, we're both on campus. What should we be finding our time doing? Man, we read a lot of Christian literature. We even had a Bible study series on what it takes to be a man, what it takes to be a woman. You know, we're just doing general things. But when it came to the last year of courtship, we started reading more and more books on marriage. This is what is expected of marriage and all of that. I'm just using that just as an example, but I'm saying that we just have to be intentional. It's not a time of exploring bodies. It's a time of knowing who this person is. Who is he spiritually? What does he aim to be? What are his aspirations? What are his giftings? Where does he hope to be of service? How do I fit into his picture? Together, what do we think? You hardly know what God wants you to be.
Exactly.
Absolutely. But at least you will try.
At least you know in what direction you should be going. So in other words, during this courtship, we should be communicating. We should be talking.
Real talking.
Talk. Not just we gaze into each other's eyes and we smile. How I love you. And he tells me back, I love you. You are so beautiful. You are so handsome. Yeah. Oh. What's that to young people say? Oh. Oh. You know. Meanwhile, serious issues that you should be discussing, you have not discussed.
You know, we asked
Even cultural issues, you should talk, because these days we intermarry. You should learn about the culture of the person you want to get married to. There was one thing that happened to me when I got married. I'm from the West, you know, okay, Midwest if you like. And we don't do what they call, is it gara now? They call it, they give you gathering of things, like they buy TV, they buy all of those things for you. We don't do that in my place, you know. So when it's like we didn't talk about that issue. So when I got married, when they came to pick me, they saw me with my box and a few things that I had. So it was like his cousin was like, where are the load? So I said, this is the load now. So it was the woman I stayed with gave me, because she's from the north, you know, she gave me a bag of rice, jerrycan of groundnut oil, you know, and I went. The person that saved the day was my sister-in-law. That's my cousin's wife. So when we got home and they were wanting to talk, I say, you people don't know that the person you marry is not from your tribe. You think that everybody does this thing you do. I think that saved the day. But I may not have that kind of person to stand for me, and it can raise problem in some marriages or relationships. So you should talk about the culture. What do people think about a new wife coming? What do people think about a new husband coming? How do people...
What are the expectations?
What are the expectations of your culture concerning a woman, a newly married woman? If there are things that are not Christian, you know, obviously, you should talk about them. How do you intend to manage them? You know, how do you intend, maybe like I know the Igbo people, you put a wine, you have to go and give the man to drink. What if you don't subscribe to that? How are we going to manage that issue? You know, so
there are two people in a relationship.
right?
Sometimes they don't know what are the pain points for one another until an offense occurs. You understand? So what do they know about each other? Do they know the family history?
Exactly.
Do they know how many siblings? Do they know significant events in this person's life and why this person is who he is like this? Why is the person insecure or secure?
I was saying the other time, I was saying that it's so bad that some people, it's when they come for counseling, they hear each other's salvation story. They don't know. You are getting married to somebody, you don't know whether he's truly born again. You've never heard how he came to know the Lord.
Or even if there are even doctrinal issues.
You don't know. Because
before we start going back to, okay, what our culture, even for a Christian, do we know who this person is? Do we know what he believes? Do we know what principles he stands by? What are the values he was raised with? What are the values we agree with? Is there a clash in values?
that's what I'm saying. They don't even, people, you should talk.
Sometimes
it's not
they
just
are too carried away by the paparazzi of, oh, I'm now engaged, you'll be showing your ring, and you know, all those paparazzi will take away the real issues that they are supposed to be talking about. And that's why we have the problems we have in marriages, because what they are supposed to be looking at while they are in courtship
talking about
while in courtship, they don't talk about them. They don't even ask questions.
They don't pray now. They don't pray. We've counseled couples. They don't know how each. They don't even know whether they gave their life to Christ. Somebody even told me of one couple that they counseled. When they asked the guy whether he had given his life to Christ, he said yes. The other person said, and like, you are doubting his salvation. She just said, So you are a Christian. Somebody you are not sure is born again, you want to marry him.
Marry the person.
So when they now say, oh yeah, tell us, how did you come to know the Lord? Stuttering and stammering. What is that? So if somebody you think you want to spend the rest of your life is not 1 week, the rest of your life, you don't know whether he's born again. You don't know how he came to know the Lord. You don't know whether his salvation story is fake. You don't even know whether there's any salvation story at all. You don't know what he believes.
Growing or maturing.
You don't exactly. You don't know whether he's growing. You don't know whether he's maturing. You've never prayed together, because sometimes just one prayer, you know where the person is as a Christian. You've never studied scripture together. You've never shared anything from the Bible. Say, okay, I found this exciting. when I read the Bible today, this is what your conversation does not even reach that level.
At all.
All you're doing is what's that? What's that?
It's
not
really
authentic.
it's really funny. It's,
You know, serious issues that will impact your life. Because as they say, who you marry will make or break you.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And young people are not taking this matter seriously. How do
That's
you marry
why
somebody you are not sure of his Christian stance?
You know, and another issue that I see with young persons is you're going out with somebody, you even see that some things are wrong. And you think that, okay, if I marry him, the things are going to change.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know
Because
where
you
they
are
get
Beauty and
them
the
from.
Beast.
Yes.
If you kiss the beast, you become a prince.
A prince.
That's crap.
You know,
No.
so a lot of them, a lot of things. Okay, like a girl is going out with a guy, and he knows that the guy has anger issues, and the guy has even displayed some of the anger for him in their courtship, maybe even slap her at one point, you know, and she just feels like, oh, okay, maybe he came and begged and he said, I don't know what came over me, because something is always coming over them.
Or
I don't
the other
know.
one I've heard is because I love you.
Yeah, that's why I'm slapping
That's
you.
why, yeah.
Yes. And then she would just say, okay. And then she will go and tell her friends that maybe I was the one that triggered the beast in him. Maybe I didn't do it. I'm supposed to have done it correctly. I'm the one that is angry. He's a nice person. He's a very nice person. It's the things I need to check myself. So you see yourself devaluing yourself just because you want to stay in a relationship with someone. Even it can happen to the men too, because you so love a girl and you see the girl displaying all manner of behavior, like every time you people are together, she's asking for money for this, money for that, money for this. Her friend is wedding in Dubai, she wants to go. Her sister's friend is wedding, she's collecting money for all of this. And you, instead of talking about it, you are okay with it. You are like, when we get married, all of that will stop.
How?
It won't stop. It's going to increase.
Even sometimes, even physical, I've seen girls slap boys.
Yeah, boys.
They say
yes.
they are angry.
Yeah.
And you gotta marry that type of
And
person.
you still go ahead to marry. So when you see some of these, I don't know what you think courtship is about. I think sometimes some of the things we see in marriages, like I tell young girls, I say some of the things I'm seeing in my marriage today, I saw some of them. And it's more like maybe I thought a miracle was going to happen that was going to change it. But when I get into marriage, it didn't change. So I had to live with it. You know, so I would say that when you see these things, you should talk about them. And if it doesn't, there is no change, I think it's better to walk away from the relationship.
There are even some things I don't think you should talk about.
Talk about, yes, like the slapping
I was
issue,
talking with a young person, and the relationship she's in, the guy is pressurizing her to have sex with him. And she's trying to convince me that the man is a serious Christian. And I'm like, please, how? She said, Auntie, if you hear him praying,
And
he's
so?
a prayer warrior.
And
I
so?
said, prayer warrior that does not fear the word of the Lord? He's asking you for sex. Shameless. He's not even stylishly asking you. You know, there are some people that will style. This one, Koro, he's opening his mouth that God created to tell you that he wants to sleep with you. And you are still there, waiting for what to happen. I said, run with your life. She said, crying. I said, I've told you my own. A man who has no fear for God, I don't care how much he prays. What's that? Doesn't mean anything. I think the real test of a Christian is how much of God he fears. And your fear of God is that you want to obey God's word.
Exactly.
So to show in your character. So anybody who is pressurizing you to have sex with the person before marriage, whether it's the girl or the boy, I think that person is not, if he's a Christian, he has not started growing. I think you should just...
So it means that when these people started the courtship, they absolutely had no guidelines.
Exactly.
They didn't covenant and say, look, we're going to keep this courtship holy. We're going to keep this courtship pure. And these are the steps we're going to take to make, like, we lived in different cities. So we already knew which friends, when this person is visiting, he will stay with.
Exactly.
So you make plans, you don't hope
that nothing
you will take
happens.
you understand?
A miracle
You
will
agree
keep
that, look, holding hands. That's as far as we'll go. We even memorize scripture. We've memorized Luke 19, you know. Impatience possess you, your souls. Or like one of my late friends would tell his daughter, be sober. Tell everybody be sober. So I think that if you are God-fearing, if you are people who know Jesus and he's your Lord and you are entering into courtship, you agree on guidelines. This is what we do, this is what we don't do. This is how much we visit, this is not how many times we visit. You understand? You don't leave things fluidly.
What time do you go to
And then possibly too, you can have accountability people
Yeah.
who will be asking you questions
Yeah.
about how you are comporting
We agree
yourself.
that this is how many times we visit. This is not, I mean, you don't go beyond this number of visits. It didn't even make sense economically.
Yes. So courtship is a time to know each other better,
Yeah.
to talk about important issues.
Grow in your
Grow,
friendship.
yeah.
Grow in your knowledge of the Lord. Grow in your maturity.
Yeah. I like that, grow in
Your
the knowledge of the Lord and maturity, because I've seen that some people in their relationship, there's nothing about the Lord inside. As you said, it's only how to go and eat shawarma, how to go and eat here, testing. Some people, their work is to test all the eating joints in town. You visit all, and then you'll be giving us reviews on social media, you know, how this place is good.
Very expensive
Yeah.
as a habit.
That's because they don't think there's anything to talk about. So what your relationship is all about, all the joints to go, what cinema to visit. Not that you can't do all that, but there are more important things that will impact on your marriage that you need to deal with, and not just visiting, you know, tourist sites and tourist attractions. Yes, you do that, but you must have those serious conversations. And
Are you going to Christian camps too?
they're not talking about those things, so modern ones.
Why?
They say it's when you talk now, they say didn't they tell us we were old school before we started today? So modern things, they are doing modern things. This is a modern way.
And that is why the marriages are also crashing.
Crashing in the modern times. They are crashing in the modern times.
And like Amaka had mentioned, we developed accountability groups. We would look at a couple that we think we liked their model of a home,
marriage, yeah.
and would go and would tell them that we're in courtship, these are the times they want to, or we're trusting God to marry. And you know, they open their home up to us, and they would invite us. From time to time, they say, have you talked about this? Have you grown in this? What are your plans? So I think we should take advantage of the many Christian men groups, Christian couples that are there and are living purposefully and in holy relationships. You would learn a lot from them. Visit them, help them out, babysit for them.
Yeah. And be deliberate about praying together. Be deliberate about praying together, studying the Word of God together. So you could have a Bible study that you guys can be doing together, you know, and be talking about what you are reading, what you are learning, and growing, and help each other check that you are growing, you know, and talk about your growth process. Those are things we need to talk about, you know, so that we are pushing each other in the right direction. That I'm in this relationship should make me a better person, I think. And you too should make you a better person, not remain the same or even worse.
One of the things that people caught in hardly talk about is how to face adversities, how to face challenging times.
We don't talk about adversity because the mantra now is not our portion. And it is well. Yes, now. Is it your portion? It's not my portion. And it is well. No, it cannot happen. It only happens to unbelievers. That's what people believe now.
Like I said
that if you're a Christian, nothing bad can happen to you.
Like I said last week, can you talk about, okay, we are hoping to have 2 children, 3 children. What if the children don't come?
Hey.
What if they don't come?
Nobody says that now.
But it's something
that means you don't have faith.
About.
You don't have faith. You are an unbeliever. You are not basking in the blessings of the Lord. Well, I'm just being sarcastic,
Yeah.
but really,
But those
these
are
are
the
things we should talk about. We
And
should.
you know, I said we don't talk about it, but you see, if we're very observant and we're courting, we're also doing life together. When adversities come, it helps us know how much does this person really believe God?
God.
How do they behave when they are faced with grief, they are faced
Problems.
with sorrow, they are faced with problems? Because every person that is born of a woman is born to trouble.
Yeah.
So courtship helps us know how this person handles trouble, how they handle adversity.
And there must be adversity. Even
Whether
scripture
you
clearly
like it
tells
or
us.
not, yeah.
Just the fact that you are living a godly life. The Bible says anyone that lives a godly life in Christ. It didn't say may, it said must. I remember I underlined it in my Bible. Must suffer persecution. And persecution is adversity.
Yeah.
A persecution can be that people are patting you on the back and say, yeah, you are so nice, well done. They will make life difficult for you. So any Christian that is living right, you must be frustrated in one way or the other. People and circumstances. And of course the devil too prepares for you to give you a hard time. And you must talk about it.
That is
How
to
to
know
go.
whether the person is sweet or the person was a bitter person.
Yeah.
Because the approach to life at that point will be, this is stressing me. You know, they are not talking about, oh, pray with me. They are not saying, what are my strategies for coping with this? So I think that while you're talking about courtship, allow troubles to help us know whether this person is genuine and his or her approach to adversity.
Yeah. Okay, I think it's time to go on break. And then when we come back, we'll continue this courtship discussion and the things people should do during courtship. Maybe we'll also talk about the role of parents in this courtship. I think it's an important thing we need to talk about. So viewers, we're here at the living room. We've been talking about courtship with Mrs. Namo, Professor Madu, and myself. And we'll be right back after the break to continue from where we stopped. So please, don't touch that dial. Just stay.
Democracy is the theory that common people know what they want and deserve to get it good and hard. Join me every Friday, 7 p.m. on National Talk for analysis as well as in-depth perspective on issues as they unfold in and around Nigeria, as well as an opportunity to add your voice.
Hello viewers, my name is Amaka Ocheke. We anchor the program, The Living Room, right here on Equa TV International.
You are welcome to watch us every Monday.
The Living Room is a very interesting family program where we discuss everything you want to know about family.
Talk about our children's mental health.
Keep watching. Our program is always here, 5:30 every Monday. We want you to ask questions. We want you to phone in and drop topics that you want us to talk about, even on our media handle on Facebook. We're there. So keep watching, keep listening. The Living Room. Hello viewers, welcome back from our break. We've been right here at the Living Room on Equa Television International talking about courtship. We've raised a lot of issues about courtship, things people need to be doing during courtship. And one of the important things we've raised is that you should spend time to know yourselves. Talk about your relationship. Talk about how you came to know the Lord. Grow together in your walk with God, in your friendship with one another, in your maturity. We've talked about having mentors who will give you guidance and also like be a check for you. Decide what you will and you will not do in the course of courtship. You want to honor the Lord. Flee from all appearance of evil. Anything that will cause you trouble, please just keep away from it. And we also raise the issue that courtship is not a time to be having sex with each other. If you are not married, you are not married. There's nothing like nearly married, almost married. If you are not married, you are not married. So courtship is a time to zip up. You know, remember the advertisement of zip up. Zip up. And whatever will help you to zip up, please put it in place so that you will have a good testimony before God and before men. So we've been talking here with Professor Teresa Madu and Mrs. I.B. Namo on courtship. And we've covered these areas. And I think I want us to veer a bit into the role of parents in courtship.
Although before we go, I don't want it to sound as though courtship is a drab time. It's a very exciting time.
Yeah.
You know, you finally discover somebody that you are emotionally attracted to, and maybe your test of selfishness is being cured. You know, because courtship has a way of helping us think more about the other person. Being more sacrificial, truly learning how to care for another human being. It's a preparation for how in marriage you will also be caring for more human beings that God is bringing your way. So we're not saying that courtship is a bad time. It's very exciting, but it's also very spiritual.
And we need to be serious about it. We just don't allow the time to just pass without learning or gaining anything. But we should learn, we should grow.
And the other thing they do, they spend more time in courtship preparing for weddings than
the marriage.
For the marriage.
Yeah. So wedding is just ceremony. It's not the marriage. So spend more time preparing for the marriage itself. Wedding is just, it's not even a day, it's a few hours.
A few hours.
And everybody moves on. So let's spend more time preparing for the marriage proper, because that's the rest of your life together. And that's very important. Okay. Role of parents. What is the role of parents in courtship? Because I realize that sometimes parents don't seem to, I don't know, they're not involved. They don't seem to know anything going on. All the role they seem to play is to give us lists of the things we buy and then give them invitation card. Me, I'm inviting my friends. I need over 100 cards. So, and then they prepare for a shebi.
And then they put more pressure on the couple.
Yeah, what they wear. So what is the role that parents should play in courtship?
Let's take steps backwards. I think when we are praying that God will lead our child to the person God has prepared for him, are we also helping our children to be responsible adults? Does the boy know what it takes to be a man? What he should be doing? Well, what does he do in the house to prepare him to be a man in the future? Like me, I assume that all my daughters will know everything I know how to cook. That they will know how to pound yam, regardless of who they marry. We come from a pounded yam eating area. So I taught them, in fact, one of my wedding presents for each child was a mortar, the correct mahogany mortar with pestle. Now, never mind that now there's ninja that is pounding it, but each of them had a mortar and pestle. So you help your daughter or young man be prepared to be that. But the first thing is, start praying long before that happens. I'm not sure you are going to specify that it should be from this tribe or from this tribe. But one of the things you want to be sure is that apart from your child's testimony that this person is a child of God, I should be able to testify that this person is a child of God. We can have telltale signs of somebody who genuinely cares for another person. I don't know, I keep talking about who genuinely cares for another person, because in marriage, we spend the whole of our lifetime looking after the other person. So we must see the telltale sign. Is this person considerate? Does he pay attention to the future of this individual? Is he or she concerned about who this person will grow to be? I mean, it's not just materialism, but, you know, we inspire one another to be the best. So these are things that parents can look out for. Have an interaction with the person. I preferred that a young man would come to my house to pick the girl he's going out with. I don't like this meeting in Mr. Biggs. When the individual comes, for the little time he's spending before the girl is ready for them to go out, I have a conversation. Who are you? Where are your parents from? Where did you school? Where do you work? Who are your best friends? These are things that parents ought to know about the future spouse that is coming into their child's life. I mean, there are irreducible minimums. This is who this person is. But we took it a step further. We tried to ask, who are these parents, friends? What do we know about this family? What is their history like? Who are the people who have married? How do they treat their children? These are things I think parents can do, but the minimum you can do is pray for this child. Pray for their future. Pray for who God, because your own future is also bound up in the future of those children.
So we need to start early.
And then we had guidelines. We had timelines for when our children got home, even before they got into courtship. And even when they were in courtship, we expected that the other partner will know that this is when this child gets home. And you can't help a child break that curfew. If you need to go beyond that time because there's something extra, we need to know. How do these young people respect the parents even? It's not a slavish kneel down and go, but how do they honor these parents? Because the way they honor you is possibly a reflection of how they also honor their parents in turn. How do they talk to you?
A guy is coming to see your daughter, and he's parked outside your house and he's horny, and then your daughter will get up and dress and say,
that's very rude.
It's
Very rude.
That's very rude.
Very rude. I think no parent should tolerate that. No parent should tolerate that. You know, the guy should be bold enough to come into your house, to respectfully talk with you, and so that you will know that this is the guy that is going out or he's having a relationship with my daughter. And like Auntie said, you were always looking for the best man for my daughter, the best woman for my son. But have I made my son and my daughter the best woman for another man's daughter and another man's son? So I want to first work on my children to have a good reputation, a good life, a good moral standing, principles of life, so that when I now pray that God should bring somebody the same way to them, I have prayed like a two-way prayer, praying for them and praying for the other person, so that you can have, and when you do that, you have peace of mind when these children eventually gets married. But when you are concentrating on having a good daughter-in-law, concentrating on having a good son-in-law. In fact, some people have defined what they call good son-in-law, especially for son-in-laws. The one that brings all the goodies to the house. Every time he's coming, he has a basket full of things that he brings to the house. That young man is a nice man. You don't even know his history. Like she said, you don't know his history. You don't know where he's coming from. You don't know who his parents are. You don't know what he does for a living. But he parks a big car in front of your house, walks in, and when he's going, he gives bundle of money to everybody, and then you are celebrating him. You may not know the danger you are putting your child into. So you need to know who this person is. You need to know whether he's the girl or the boy. We need a relationship. I think we need to also establish a relationship with that person who is coming after our daughter, our son. I should be able to relate with whoever is going to be my daughter-in-law like my own daughter. She should be able to come to the house like she's coming to see her mom, not just her mother-in-law, but she's coming to see a woman who will end up being her mom. So that
some parents are also not approachable.
That's the point.
Especially the
mothers.
The papas. No, the papas.
Okay. I thought it's the mothers that
no,
are
the papas,
more like that.
The papas are sometimes very
Okay.
unapproachable on
Okay.
both sides.
Okay.
And this is not to fault them. They are in the habit of, they are reading the newspaper, they are watching the game and everything.
And
you
giving
know?
you monosyllabic
So
syllabic answers.
they are probably not quite as approachable. But I think we can cultivate friendships with the parents on both sides. If you really like somebody, you can look out for what they like, and you know that's where it starts. Does this person like tennis? We'll talk about tennis. Does he like football? We'll talk about football. I mean, genuinely build bridges and friendships, and then begin to know. Or you can even ask for, Daddy, I want to know about how you made this particular move, maybe a career-wise. How did you do this? What was it like in your own time? So we begin to have a history, and that builds relationships, you know.
So the young people should be deliberate about
With the parents of
with the
whoever
parents.
they are having
And
a
parents too
relationship
should be
with.
approachable.
Yeah.
If they are trying to make conversation, please. Sometimes you too can
Start a
it.
conversation,
You don't have to
yes.
wait for
Yes.
them to start.
But maybe there's something that parents do that also builds false expectations. Parents have worked a long time to get to where they are. You probably have the means of livelihood that this young person does
Doesn't
not
have.
have. To begin to expect that a young upcoming person has the standards that you have worked many years to achieve is unreasonable. So I think we need to encourage young people to be content at where they are. And if our child is going into that situation, our child too needs to learn how to build their own life,
Lives,
the way
not
we have built
dependent
our
on
own
the-
life.
yeah, on
You
the
know,
other
we
person.
shouldn't be excessively demanding. We expect that this person will do this person will do that. A
young man just starting, a young person just starting off in life.
Starting his life.
Okay, what other things are parents supposed to do? I know Auntie had raised the issue, had said something about due diligence for the person getting married, but what of parents? Due diligence, what would that entail? Because I think parents should do that.
I think particularly for the man, his parents should make a move to meet the young woman's parents.
Yeah.
and also begin to build bridges of friendship.
Friendship, yeah.
If we're lucky, we already know one another and we're in the same church, maybe that makes it easier.
Much easier.
But if they are out of town people, I think the parents of the young man should show sufficient interest in going to
Knowing
meet the parents of the
girl, yeah.
the girl. Build friendship outside the cultural situations. We come from a culture where there will be a go-between. But it doesn't stop the parents from relating to one another and knowing one another, you know, mother to mother, father to father, and so forth.
Then what of finding out about the person that your child wants to marry?
I say you want to know who is this person.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a good step, you know, wanting to know who is.
It's a
necessary step. Yeah. Who
Because
is this
sometimes
person?
people are like, oh, I don't want to
You interfere.
interfere.
No, you have
stand
to
back.
interfere because your child is going to live there for the rest of her life. You need to be consciously interfere. You need to know who this boy is or girl is, so that you know you won't have.
I'm not
to,
calling it interference. I'm
it's
calling
not-
it fact finding.
Yeah, find out
So
who
what
this
kind of
person
facts?
is.
What kind of facts are parents supposed to find
What
out?
is his family like?
Like, yeah,
Okay.
What are the values this family
the whole.
espouses?
He himself, how does he see life?
Are the parents Christians or non-Christians? What are the things that they hold dearly to? Sometimes we marry into families that have beliefs, whether they are stereotypes or strong belief systems that will affect even their children in marriage. For example, if this family is not Christian and they don't have problems with entering covenants with powers
All
of
sorts
darkness,
of things.
it will affect you. Because we're bringing two families together. You need to do due diligence. Like I said earlier, do we know that this child it's a child of God. Can I find out the salvation story of this person? If they go to a different church, what kind of church is it?
Do they attend?
Are they regular people? Are they just church goers? Are they involved in mission work one way or the other? These are just things that help you know more this person you are dealing with. And the information is a lot easier to get because we always know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody.
Yeah.
Don't look for the people who will say positive things about the person. Look for people who say genuine things about the family. So that if there's need to be cautious, you'll be cautious. But we need to know who we're dealing with.
I've gone for a marriage with some people for their child's marriage, and when we got to the wedding, during the reception, I was in church. The father of the groom comes in with two women. They are all wearing the same clothes, and I turned to the mother of the bride. I'm like, "Is your in-law a polygamist?" She said she didn't know. I was shocked. Like, for real? Because the groom didn't grow up with his parents. He grew up with an uncle. But I felt they should have found out.
Yeah.
So it was there we were finding out that this was a polygamous family. I don't say you won't marry from a polygamous family. But you know what you're up against. You are prepared.
Yes, prepared for it.
They didn't know. We're all finding out together at the wedding reception. I'm like, for real? I felt that was being very careless. That means you don't know anything about the boy's family. And that's not good enough. So I think, as you said,
sometimes we leave everything to chance. Since the boy is a good boy, let's just... No, we need to have some of this information about families because it will really help. Because sometimes you come to a marriage where even some of the girls and the boys, they don't really know people from the family of the girls, or they don't know people from the family of the boy. And then one day somebody appears in your house and then you say, well, my mother's aunties, daughters, sisters, you start calling names that you don't even know that the mother has one auntie or the mother has one sister, like that. So sometimes it's very good to get this information.
The other thing parents can actually do to help young couples is also to help them come to reality with life, I think when people are young and in courtship, they are dreaming and they are dreaming out of the world. You understand? So parents can help them come to reality. Like when we looked at the budget that they were putting on a wedding, we're like, even if you had the money, is it wise to put
all this money into the wedding?
So parents can help people come to reality so that they are not living in
if the parents themselves are real parents who knows what reality is.
But we're expecting that parents should.
Yeah, because sometimes this budget we're talking about is coming from some parents.
No, we have gone through life and we have known that a lot of the thing is firi, that it doesn't go beyond that first day.
You're talking about you. We're looking about
and I'm assuming that the people out there are Christians too.
Yeah. So the other things,
you help them come to reality.
Aside from even the budget things, reality about who they are marrying. Because I've heard of people who married somebody who what they thought the person was doing as a job was not what the person was doing. And I'm like, didn't she have a father and a mother? What were the parents doing? Because your parents should find out, where does this boy work? Is he really working there?
Yeah.
And all that. Because your children shouldn't fall into a false situation, So even if your parents or your daughter or your son is so much in love that they are in this,
cannot see.
You should help them see as parents and bring them down to reality. So you must know what the boy or the girl is doing, where they work, where they are from, where they live, and stuff like that, so that whatever it is you are dealing with is real, and you know how to pray, you know how to advise, you know how to guide, than to just leave everything to chance, as you said. So parents really have. They're asking us to wrap up, so we need to wrap up. But parents, you have a serious role to play. even before the courtship starts, as we've heard, you have to start praying.
Praying. That
ahead
is
of
a
time.
very important
You also
part
need
of
to
it.
prepare your children, not only to pray for a good husband and wife, prepare your children to also be good
husbands and wives. Yeah.
And then during the courtship itself, you must do due diligence, guide them, pray for them, and make sure that they are operating in the realm of reality and not somewhere so far. So thank you. We've talked a lot of things about courtship today, what the couple should do, the role of parents, and discussing this with me has been Professor Teresa Madu, Mrs. Ibe Namo, and myself, Amaka Ocheke, right here at the living room on Equa Television. Thank you, viewers, for watching. We're looking forward to seeing you again here next time, same time next week, right here. Thank you so much. God bless you, and let's keep living and shining for Jesus. See you again next time.